Well, getting the shocks off today, they really fought us again. There's some unusual design choices here. They could have made it a lot easier, but they didn't. But luckily the Chief air hammer again delivered. We tried using the induction heater there to heat. It was glowing red, that's how hot it was. Still couldn't get it off. I was able to use the chisel to get it to start to spin without messing up the threads. So that was cool. But yeah, like this one here, you can't get an impact on it. It's so close to the back side, so you're really limited to a wrench. Socket won't fit. But we've got them all off now, all 6 of the rear ones. Everything was a fight. This one up in here, they use these little tiny nuts, these really thin ones, and you barely get a grip on it. And again, there's stuff in the way where you really can't get anything on it except for a wrench. And we heated up with the induction. And then I also threw the chisel on this one just real quick to get it spinning, and it did work. But they're so thin, you can't get a grip on them. And then on the other side, same story, except one of those thin ones was just spinning. So we got to figure out what to do with the threads. It would just spin, it wouldn't come off. It would spin, 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 spin. So you can see the threads are all stripped out on there. So we're going to try to retap it. Maybe go to a different size or something. And this one over here, same thing. On that one, I had to use the impact chisel there, the Chief, just to wail on it for a little bit and try to get it to turn, and then finally got a good enough grip where it broke it free. But I had a double wrench on there, and these are 1/16 or 1 1/8, so great big wrenches. All that work to get the shocks off. Took 2 of us about 2 hours. These aren't off, but all the bolts are off. They're just probably off. Yep, got my thumb too. Not much left of the seal that came out of there. They're both like that, coming apart. Just nothing left of them. Bushing's all chewed up, worn, obviously. Here's how the shims came out of there, all chewed up, worn through. It's definitely worn. That's perfect 5/1000. That is 2. This is the brake diaphragm for that roto chamber. You see why it was blown out and leaking air. It's not rubbery anymore, it's like hard, brittle plastic. But multiple areas, just nasty. I don't like this design compared to a regular traditional brake chamber either. The diaphragm inside those rotor chambers is like a small rolling lobe airbag that expands when you step on the brakes. They are available. They're like $180 for a diaphragm and like $800 for a brake chamber. We just ordered 2 new traditional style modern chambers for both fronts and replaced them. $45 a piece. He told me a story about how this bus fell into a pit one time. And then I started looking at the suspension on it. You can see how that's totally bent back there. That's what keeps the axle in line. So that's why our axle's out of alignment. That is shorter rod now because it's bent. So we have the suspension just hanging here on the front. We loosen up these bolts here. There's 2 on each side here and 2 over there. The body is supported. We back this nut off. Every 1 inch you do this, it raises the suspension 2 inches. So we're doing 3/4 of an inch that we brought it back. And then we're now bringing that back this way, tightening it to get it up so it's flush. This should raise our suspension 1.5 inches when we're done here. We've already done the other side, and it did successfully lift it. But we haven't driven it yet. It might change once we drive around the block. We might have to fine tune it a little bit. He did have each individual wheel weighed before he came here, but that's not really a measurement that we're able to use right now. We don't have it on its wheels right now anyways, so we'll see what we can get. But this is not an easy job. It's very, very difficult. These threads are really jacked up and rusty and not fun. We've upgraded this to a regular brake chamber, and we just had a little bit of clearance. I needed to swing these bolts around for the clamp the other way so that there's room for the, oops, not tighten it yet. I gotta spin it around a little bit more. Don't step on my phone, please. Okay, I should do it. This ratcheting one doesn't really fit on there. So we're installing the new races and bearings here. I have this great little jig that we can use on the press that Jeff made us. He's got the Wonder Lodge that we worked on earlier this year. Really nice Wonder Lodge. But yeah, he made this for us. I got interchangeable discs that are different sizes that I can put on there for the right bearing, and they work great. Very cool tool. So all the parts for the Eagle bus have come in here. We have one more shipment of parts that Art went to go pick up this morning, but we've got the wedge that we're missing there. That needs to go in on the kingpin still, and then this side can get put back together. The new bearings are in. Everything's oiled, ready to go. We just got to do a lube job there. Brakes are adjusted. That has the new brake diaphragm on it, brake chamber, because it had blown out. This side, new bearings are in. The new brake chamber is on. Suspension is adjusted. We raised it up 1.5 inches on both sides of the front. We're hoping that measurement stays the same. We'll take it around the block and drive it and see if it changes a little bit. We might have to do a little bit more adjustment, but adjusting that suspension is no fun, especially when you're blindly doing it. Okay, back here, we're missing the bearings for this, the outer bearing for this hub. He went to go pick that up this morning. We had it shipped to the UPS store because we can get it early morning if we pick it up at the UPS store. This hub is all together, back together, just ready to get the brake drum on. We just had to air it up to get the brake drum on. And then the new shocks are here. So we just gotta put the new shocks on. The old ones are all off, but we just gotta put the new ones on, and then the wheels can go back on. This bus should be done today. Here's the box of shocks. It came late last night, right around 5 o'clock. So we'll get all these shocks put on. That's the new hub that Brandon from Cardinal Coach sent us there. We got all new lug nuts for it and everything too, but the new bearings are on, everything's tight, ready to go. Just gotta put the new shocks in and then put the brake drum on, adjust the brakes, put the wheels back on. And this, again, we were missing an outer bearing for 2 of the tag or bogie axles. So on here, we're just waiting for the new bearings and races to come in for this. We'll get everything in, on, and good to go. So it's been quite the challenge here, but most of it was waiting on parts. They have oddball parts. The axle gaskets for this we don't have. That was coming in this morning as well. They were kind of oddball for the Eagle. A standard one that fits on every other bus does not fit on an Eagle. Their whole pattern is slightly different. So we've got those. But so I've got the 2 seals that are there for the bogies, and then the 2 outer bearing sets that are there. And then he's got the 2 new Sorry, those are the inner bearings, and the 2 outer bearings are coming today still. He went to go pick them up. So we are, I think that's all he was getting today was those 2 axial gaskets and then the 2 sets of bearings for this. And everything's done. This one will be back on the road. Oh, the rear axle. Figured out why it was out of alignment. After discussing something with Art, this bus fell into a pit one time. And once we got into that, well, then I put a long straight edge on this bar right here, and it's curved. This side is bent, the other side is straight, and that's why the axle's out of alignment. That's what adjusts the distance of the axle back there. So now that we figured that out, that's explained why it was out of alignment, and we were able to dial it in much closer. I told him he still should take it to an alignment shop and get the front end aligned, and then also have him do the rear. They have lasers and everything where they can do it much more accurately than I can with just a tape measure. But it's much better than what it was. So that will be good. But yeah, you get a little bit more information as things go on. Like, has it ever been an accident? No. And then we were discussing a tow truck. Although I had to have a tow truck come out the one time when it fell in the pit. Oh, wait a second. Let's take a look. So it wasn't blatantly obvious. It's not like kinked, but there is a very slight bend to it, which shortened up the axle about a 1/2 inch on the side.
This one looks like it's been on a boat trail. It's got so much rust.
Yeah.
So I'll keep him in boats. That's what he does. Boats and heavy construction.
Actually using brake clean for its intended purpose. That's impressive. Uh-oh. Which one's leaking? Your side, maybe? Everything over there is leaking. That hose is leaking. Look at that hose. That's the actual hose. He is holding the brakes pedal down right now, and there's no air escaping anywhere. Go ahead and release. Set your parking brake. Okay. Okay. I just got to grease up the S-cam. We need an air hose to jack up this jack just a little bit.
You're going backwards.
It was so dirty, I thought that was the inside.
Well, it took me a minute to figure out which wheel is which.
All right, your aluminum rims are a little dirty, buddy.
Yeah.
Don't forget that's got that long stem sticking through it.
Yeah.
Go ahead and get to it.
I'm 180 degrees.
It worked out great. This is almost doing the job. One more than the full watch.
Not sure why it's not all the way out right now. Hang on a second. You can let go. It's enough to start it. There it goes. Here. Can you see? Woo! That is silver. Ooh, it sure is. Can you see that in the video, Kelly?
Yeah.
I'd give you the drain plug, but I'm minorly afraid I'm gonna have to put it back in.
You're gonna have to put it back in.
Wanna give me another drain pan in a hurry?
Out there by the tree, Bo. Have his fingers. It looks like the Tin Man there with the oil residue. We're gonna wipe that off.
Will someone take it so I can have a rag, please?
One more time. Slant. Feel good? Yeah. Okay, go ahead and put it in park. We did successfully raise the front of the bus 1.5 inches. We're within a 1/4 inch from front to back, left to right, all around the bus. It's a huge, huge improvement. We'll see how it goes after the test drive in the morning.